best bets for the weekend. Feel free to put, if you have any other last minute start sit questions while we're closing the show out here, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll get to them as soon as we're done with these bets. Miranda, I'll let you kick it off because ladies first, and I'm a gentleman.
Oh, really? Not when it comes to fantasy football.
Well, no, I'm not holding back.
No, you shouldn't. All right. I'm going to start by targeting somebody we talked about in the starts. I talked about Russell Wilson. Over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 108. We already talked about it. This Ravens team is terrible against the pass.
Yeah.
2 touchdown passes against them seems like an easy bet over on FanDuel.
Yeah, I like that. I'm surprised that 2 touchdowns are getting plus money. So I really like that. So the Bears are actually decent for my first bet. I'm leading it with the Bears, but I'm not betting on the Bears. Don't worry. The Bears are actually decent against the pass, though, but they're not against the run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not very good. This is a bit of a high number, it feels like, when you look at it. Josh Jacobs, 72.5 rushing yards. But then when you look at his stats, he's gone over this 4 of the last 5 games. So maybe it's not all that high. Over 72.5 rushing yards, minus 114. Josh Jacobs. I think this is how the Packers control the game. We'll talk a little bit. I have some best bets for against the spread. Spoiler alert, not picking the Bears. And I think one of the ways the Packers do that is with Josh Jacobs.
All right.
Who you got next?
I'm doubling down on how bad this Ravens pass defense is.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
They are bad.
And I'm going to target the best pass catcher on the Steelers, and that's George Pickens. I'm taking the over 69.5 receiving yards at minus 115. He's gone over this the last 3 games, and now he has a really good matchup.
Does it make you wonder what the books are doing? Like what? Because you read Wilson's line at 1.5 touchdowns. Seems easy against the Ravens. George Pickens, 70 yards. That seems easy. Makes me wonder if they're paying attention over there. What's going on? I know the books are always paying attention, but just seems easy. So I always tend to want to throw in an anytime touchdown parlay.
Mhm.
Today is no different. We're going to hit this week. I've missed by 1 the last 2 weeks. It's not missing by 1 this week. It's not the plus 1,700 that last week's was, but it is 11-1 plus 1,163. Can't complain about that. Just anytime touchdown parlay. We got Monty and Gibbs, both Lions running backs, because they have a really easy matchup. We have Derrick Henry. King Henry's team tends to score. George Pickens, the guy you just talked about. I feel like that's all easy. And I'm throwing Kyron Williams in there. I know he hasn't scored the past 2 weeks.
He's really overdue. He's got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So those 5, 11-1. I feel pretty solid about it.
All right. My next one is going to be a little risky. But again, we talked in the start sits about how Brock Purdy, does against this Seattle team.
Yeah.
This is a little page out of your book.
Ooh. No,
I guess, but I'm going to I've never done a parlay. I'm going to do a small game parlay.
Ooh.
Small parlay.
A small one. Okay. That's fine.
Brock Purdy, he is plus 270, or no, we're going over 275 passing yards.
Okay.
Over 2 touchdowns. And then plus Christian McCaffrey over 27.5 receiving yards. That's plus 360. So a little over 3.5 to 1.
I'm taking notes. I like it. I like it. That's a solid one. And then I've started adding against the spread bets. So I'm throwing all these in a parlay. Packers minus 5.5. The Bears suck. I love the Bears. Bears are our team, but they suck right now. Steelers plus 3 against the Ravens. This is betting 101. If you listen to the NFL Gambling Podcast with Moneyline Mac and myself, you always back Mike Tomlin as a home dog. He always wins as a home dog. Doesn't always win as a favorite, but he always wins as a home dog. I'm taking Steelers in the plus 3. Then I'm taking 49ers minus 6.5. I already mentioned Geno Smith looks like Geno Smith. I think they win that game. Put all those together. It's plus 631, a little over 6-1. But if you're feeling a little frisky, which I am, you better check yourself. If you're feeling a little frisky, I already mentioned the 111th Grey Cup is this weekend.
Oh boy.
Make sure you check out the CFL Gambling Podcast with myself and Colby Dant. I'm adding the Blue Bombers alt line minus 6.5. That bumps that parlay up to 11-1. I really like that. Miranda, you would not believe how many messages I got while on the CFL Gambling Podcast in the chat, asking if I was happy Chad Kelly got hurt, if I felt bad because I kept saying fuck Chad Kelly, if I thought this was karma, if I laughed at it. I'm like, I'm not rooting for anybody to get injured,
But a little bit of
whether I
karma.
like people or not.
Does it feel like karma?
It feels a little bit like karma.
Okay.
Colby mentioned that maybe I went and visited a voodoo specialist and put a little hex on him. I don't know.
The guy is just not the best person. Let's just put it there.
It was funny to watch the comments on social media of people saying, look how none of his teammates helped him. Now, if you didn't see the clip, he broke his tibia and it looked like he got up and then realized, oh shit. And it looked like he was holding his leg together with his sock as he slowly sat down.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, his teammates didn't help him. And half the crowd said, what are they going to do? What are his teammates going to do? None of them are doctors. And the other half were saying, well, that's because he's a piece of shit. Why would they help him? So probably a little A, little B. So I got those in the parlay anyways. I'll digress here soon. I also did a little 6-point teaser, 3 teams. Vikings, tease them down to a pick 'em. Lions teasing down to 7 versus the Jags. Mac Jones is terrible. Dolphins, tease them down to -1. Put all those in a 6-point teaser. It's +140. So you still get plus money, and I feel pretty solid about those.